Hello, ladies. Bear with me just a moment because I just want to make sure that everybody got. Let's just wait here for a moment. Where do I need to go? Oh, yeah. Right. Just bear with me for a second, everybody. I'm just going to wait. Sorry, not wait. I'm just going to check the details for the Eventbrite because I'm not sure we've got anyone in from who's joined from Eventbrite at the moment. So I just want to make sure that the email's gone out with the correct. Oh, hang on. Here we go. People joining in now. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Okay. Bear with me again, just one moment. Manage my events. There we go. Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure that the right email or the email went out to those who are joining through Eventbrite, went with the correct details. So hello, good evening. How are we doing? I'm just going to wait for a few people to join in. And just let me know in the chat if this is the first time you're experiencing Theta healing. And if this is the first time you're experiencing me holding these energy clearing workshops. Feel free to unmute yourselves or just write in the chat. I can see we've got a few of the Vibe Tribers here, so welcome. Good evening. And I'm going to get started. So this month, we are focusing on nourishment, the theme and the energy of nourishment. And this time of year, it can be quite desirable to go into a hibernation mode and to tuck away. And often what tends to happen is we're seeking or we tend to turn to foods and substances for comfort, for serotonin, for releasing those endorphins. And this month, we began yesterday in the Vibe Tribe, which is the subscription group, and we looked at exploring a new way of being nourished. And when I looked up the dictionary definition of nourished, it says using foods or substances that are required for growth. And I set everybody a little bit of a task yesterday, and I'm going to invite you all to do the same thing. So if you have a piece of pen and paper, or if you don't, go and grab a piece now, because I just want you to jot down the things that you physically and emotionally and spiritually need or require at this time for your growth. Now, you may be thinking that you don't know, and that's okay. I'm going to ask you to ask your intuition to answer it, your higher self and your soul, sorry, to give these answers to you, because often we try to find answers through our thoughts. And some of these questions are so far beyond what our mind perceives, but we actually also have access to that knowledge and awareness. So what I'd like you to do is just close your eyes for a moment. Take a nice deep breath in and blow out. Taking a nice deep breath in and blowing out. allowing all thoughts to leave, but bringing the awareness of your higher self forward to help support you in answering the question of, what do you require at this time for your growth? And whatever awareness you get, I want you to jot that down. It may be to have nourishing salt baths or lime baths or baths of any sort of nourishment, whatever you love to put in a bath. It may be food. It may be rest. And as you start to ask questions from an intuitive perspective, you will get answers that are beyond you. So you would have things that you would have, things that you will say things to, like, oh, I would have never have thought that that's what I needed. Okay. Because you're bringing other parts of you to help support you. How many of you ask your body what it needs? This was a practice that I only began using at the beginning of this year, and asked my body whether it wanted things or didn't want things. And it's something, in order for it to become a lifestyle, you need to do it for more than 90 days consistently. So I haven't done that yet, but often when I can feel that something's not in balance, I will ask my body what it needs. Today, I felt pretty exhausted, so I asked my body what it needed, and my body just said rest. So I was very lucky. From approximately 4 o'clock this afternoon, I slept, and I really got what I needed. Okay, so it's about asking your body what it needs when you don't have the answer to what it is. Sometimes we'll go, oh, but I had sorry, my windscreen wiper's going off. Sometimes we had a really good night's sleep, so you go, oh, it can't be that I need that. But we don't always hold the answers directly in our thoughts. So what is it that you could implement into your life right now that would nourish you? So I saw a chat pop up, so let me just check that there. Okay, so what would you recommend we do, Kat, if our body tells us something but the circumstances don't allow it? Okay, so in these scenarios, I would say, okay, body, I'm not able to do that right now because of whatever. So, for example, if your body's telling you that you need to sleep right now and you're in the middle of work, obviously that's not going to be something you're going to be able to do in that moment. But what you can do is, especially for those of you who use meditative practices, and actually even for those of you who don't, because beyond tonight you'll be able to do this anyway, you go up into the energy of the creator, ask the creator to download you with everything that you need so that your body can be nourished until you get to the point in which you can do that. And then my advice would be, cancel your plans for that evening and do what your body has told you to do. So if it is to go to sleep and go to rest and you've got plans, reschedule, because it's really important that your needs are met. Because if your needs are not met, you're going to go to other places, usually a place, not always, but often a place of toxicity to get a replenishment, okay? Or let's say a weak point. And we just don't need to be operating from that place. So when you're listening to your intuition, your body, your soul, the divine perspective, you're going to be able to not only experience life more joyfully, you're going to be nourished. So things that maybe aren't coming or happening or manifesting in your life as you would want them to be at the moment, fundamentally is because there's a part of you that's not nourished. Okay. And you can also ask the question, what part of me isn't nourished? Is it your mind? Is it your body? Is it your soul? Is it a younger part of you? Right? Is there an inner child who didn't know what nourishment is? Okay, so these are all key components to living a fulfilled life. And actually, I've really understood over the last 10 days how significant nourishment is. And we see it as very significant when a baby comes along, of how important it is to nourish a baby, not only with food, but with love, right? That holding, that protection. How often do any of you hold yourselves, right? Something even as little as hugging yourself for 20 seconds a day can release so many endorphins and can be so healing. And it's something that you can implement right this second, literally taking both your hands and wrapping it so that it's you're touching your shoulder blades, right? And holding, not forcefully, just that presence of a hug. And that wrapping across the heart is really healing, because your heart feels like it's being held. Anytime you hug somebody, you get that presence of the connection of the heart. So the heart heals. These are all things that we can often take for granted, but are immensely healing, immensely nourishing. You could take vitamins. Some of you, I'm aware, are joining me at the moment on doing the heavy metal detox. Okay, having a smoothie every morning with certain ingredients in it to help release any toxic heavy metals is something, again, that is nourishing. Okay, and again, it has to be something that, or from my perspective anyway, is that it's important that what you're doing to be nourished doesn't stretch you. Okay, doesn't make you feel overwhelmed, like, oh my gosh, now that here's this other thing that I have to do. Something that nourishes you should be something that's joyful for you. Now, this time of year, it's so much easier to have baths because the weather's not the best, especially in the Northern Hemisphere. So what I would recommend is at least once a week having a bath where you have some limes cut into it, and also some either some Epsom salts or Himalayan salts. And the thing with the limes is actually something that a shaman told me many years ago, which was by putting limes in the bath, squeeze the limes in and then leave them half cut open. It will help to draw out any negative energies or toxic energies from your body. And the ritual of this bath is, obviously, you soak in it, you bathe yourself, and once you finish the bath, you actually allow, or you stay in the bath itself until all the water has drained, so that negative energy can actually leave you with the water. So there's the experience of it being drained and coming out. And actually, the very first time that I had done this was a really interesting experience for me, because what had happened was the water that I was in actually turned grey. Okay. And it was something that even now I don't have that experience, but that time I did. And it's really interesting. Like, now the water may go cloudy. And I tend to have a shower before I go into a bath. So I know it wasn't that I was dirty, because most of the time my water doesn't turn that way. But it's just really interesting that when we're not nourished, when we're not, especially if we're working a lot, it's easy to forget those things. You might not cleanse your energy, you might not clear your space, and then you go and have a lime bath and it completely discolors because that energy is being drawn out. So that's something that you can do to help protect your energy, nourish yourself and cleanse yourself. Luckily, limes are quite cheap, so it doesn't take too much out of the financial budget. And you can add in salts as well if you want to. But they're just a few examples of nourishing and being nourished. And actually, every time I'm closing my eyes, I'm getting imprints of different images so that I can relay that to you. I feel that for a lot of you, I'm being shown being breastfed, or the process of breastfeeding. So there's so much information that's being downloaded to the baby at the point of breastfeeding. So I feel like in tonight's clearing, we'll bring some of that energy in. The nourishment of a mother's love seems to be what's dominant here. So bear with me a second, guys. I just want to check in on this energy here. Okay, so for the group collectively, we're going to need to clear some energy around mum, because a lot of your beliefs around nourishment and what's acceptable for nourishment and how to be nourished come from mum. So what I'll ask you to do is close your eyes for me. For those of you who haven't experienced theta healing before, theta healing is a technique of a guided meditation that takes you into a theta brainwave, which is the energy of the creator of all that is. In theta healing, we use the term creator of all that is because we are non-faith-based, but you do require to have a belief in something greater or more powerful than yourself as a being in order for this to work for you. You may call that energy God, the universe, divine, source, unconditional love energy. And as we enter into that space, I will receive guidance and ask you if you would like to lift, pull, cancel, or release limiting beliefs and replace them with empowering ones. In order for you to lift, replace, release, or receive a healing, you will need to say yes, because you have free will. If this doesn't feel like the right time for you to take or let go of anything, please don't feel that you have to say yes, because you can do so at a later date. You will be able to have access to the replay of this recording for 48 hours after, so you can always listen back to it and obtain it at a later point. So with that being said, close your eyes for me and take a nice deep breath in. And blow out. Take a deep breath in, bringing that breath all the way down into the base of your spine, and exhaling out. Take a nice deep breath in and blow out. So I now want you to imagine that from the center of the earth, there's a beautiful bright light traveling all the way up through all the layers of planet Earth and gently entering into the soles of your feet. I now want you to witness this light traveling up through your body, lighting up your chakras as it travels all the way up and gently coming through to the top of your head. I now want you to imagine placing yourself into a ball of light which is being formed just above your head. Feeling safe and secure as you gently float up into the sky, going past the planets and the stars, through the universe and out of the universe, going through different layers of light, some darker lights and brighter lights, as you now come into a golden light, going higher and higher as you expand into a jelly-like substance. You may see the colors of the rainbow and different shapes as you push your way through, going higher and higher as you now come into a pink mist, feeling light and easy, going higher and higher as you now come in to a pearly white iridescent light. The brightest light you've seen, but one that doesn't hurt your eyes. Going higher and higher into this light. This is the energy of the creator of all that is, of pure unconditional love. I now want you to imagine that your ball of light is dissolving around you and you become one with this light. And it is here that we'll make the command, creator of all that is. It is commanded that for each and every one of us, we be aligned to the purity of unconditional love, knowing, feeling, and experience the nourishment, the love, the joy, and the excitement that we came to in the highest and best way for each and every one of us. Thank you. It is done, it is done, it is done. And so it is. So first of all, can we send you a healing to all the parts of you across all dimensions, time, space, and realities that have been malnourished or undernourished? And can we teach all of those parts of you now what it feels like to be nourished, and that you have this perspective and feeling from the creator of all that is? And if it's okay with you, can we download this information, feeling, and understanding to every molecule in your body so that you can now move forward with this awareness that you know how to be and that you know how to receive nourishment? And anywhere that any part of you bought into the belief that you could only be nourished as much as your mum was able to nourish you, can we release all of that now? Can we lift it, cancel it, and resolve it on all levels? And anywhere you also bought into the belief you could only nourish yourself as much as your mother permitted herself to be nourished, which has limited you from receiving all of the nourishment that's available to you. Is it okay to let all that go now? Take some deep breaths to allow this energy to go. And everything that this brings up, any discomfort, any pain, sorrow, grief, or sadness, is it okay if we lift and pull this into the Creator's light for it to be washed, cleansed, and dissolved in unconditional love? Can we teach you that it is safe for you, that you know how to, and that you do so with ease in nourishing yourself, even beyond what your mother was capable of nourishing herself with? And is it okay if we also give you Creator's highest truth on these experiences of nourishment and lack of nourishment? And anywhere there was any ever abandonment around being nourished, which gave you the impression or belief that you weren't worthy of being nourished, can we lift, pull, cancel, and resolve that on all levels now? And anywhere this lack of nourishment has meant that you have remained in a state of survival, a state of fight or flight, which has limited you from being in the abundance and joy that life truly has for you. Can we let all of that go and now align you to the love, the joy, the abundance, the prosperity that is truly available and accessible to you now? And anywhere that any part of you bought into the belief that it wasn't acceptable for you to be more nourished than your mother, does it feel okay to let that go? And anywhere that you're living, receiving, or manifesting within your mother's guidelines, which is limiting you from tapping in to what's truly available to you, can we give you clarity on all of that? Can we show you that it's safe for you to let that energetic boundary, that energetic limitation go now? That it is safe for you to let it go? And can we teach you now what it feels like to be nourished, to nourish yourself, and to be allowing yourself to be nourished by others without holding on to any shame or guilt? And anywhere that shame or guilt has been sitting in your base chakra, a space of your sexual systems and excretory systems. Is it okay if we now bring in Creator's light into that space and have all of that dense energy now completely and utterly dissolved in unconditional love? Take a nice deep breath in and blow out. Take a deep breath in and blow out. Releasing any of that heavy energy. And if it's okay with you and your body, can we now align you to the Creator's highest truth of you? And anywhere that any part of you is holding on to the projections of others as a way of formating who you are, which is not in alignment with who you truly are, is it okay if we clear, lift, and release anything that's in the way of you knowing and being the greatness that you truly are now? And is it okay if we now mark these lessons as done and complete, that you can move forward from this moment here, being nourished, knowing how to nourish, and being aligned with the Creator, so that the Creator can continuously open up new ways of how you can be nourished that creates greater for you and this physical experience. And can we also teach you what it feels like, and that you know how to live a life of nourishment? And would you now like to know that you can hold on to, accept, and receive this healing, so that you don't have to loop these experiences or lessons again? Take a nice deep breath in and blow out. Take a deep breath in and blow out. I now want you to imagine that your ball of light is forming around you, filled with this unconditional love, this awareness, as you begin to float down through all the layers, through the jelly-like substance, through the golden lights, past the planets and the stars, and gently witnessing that ball of light entering in and dissolving into the top of your crown, as that pouring of unconditional love comes into your body, nourishing every molecule as it comes down, lighting up all your chakras so that they're slightly brighter or more lighter than they were before. Witnessing that light coming down to your feet, through your feet, going back into Mother Earth, grounding you, connecting you, supporting you and loving you in this unconditional love energy. I now want you to wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers, and when you're ready, open your eyes and come back into this space. Welcome back. Let me know how you're feeling. If anything feels different for you. And what I would like you to take a moment to feel into. So you may want to close your eyes, put your hand on your heart, and just ask, now that you've had this clearing, what feels possible for you now that didn't feel possible for you before? And it's not something you have to write here, but just make a note of what you feel is possible for you now. And also, what I would like you to maybe spend some time exploring is, now that you know what nourishment is from a divine perspective and that feeling of nourishment, what are you going to do now that you know this? And write down the first thing that comes to your mind, what awareness you get from that. And then my advice would be is follow through on an action so that not only do you have the feeling, but you then transform that into the experience too. So hopefully that's shifted some energy for you and brought new possibilities into your awareness so that you can now move forward and be aligned to the greatness of you, to the greatness that's truly available. And I do know that sometimes that can feel like a challenge, especially when there's a lot of external difficulties that are presented. But if you always return to the inner, the meditations, the healings, the inner perspective, you're always going to get clarity in a way that you won't be able to align with through the external. Okay, so when there's external challenges, you're not going to get your answers from there more often than not. Going within, doing some form of guided meditation as you're learning the process is really valuable. And when you feel confident enough to doing silent meditations and connecting in with that divine, pure, unconditional love energy so that you can bring in the wisdom that you obtain within you, is also just completely beautiful. And you come away from living the trauma of life experiences. So Irene says, was aware of Mum's presence during the clearing. She died 33 years ago. She was a smoker and I smelt the smoke during the clearing and I felt I was choking. Thank you for the healing. Yeah, so, you know, when those energies of the people who have passed come through, you may smell things, or you may have their essence. So smoking is quite common. Often smoke comes through as one of the easiest. And it's because that person is also coming in and joining you for that healing. But for example, thank you for sharing that there, Irene. That psychic ability is called clairsentience. So it means that you're able to smell and feel the energies around you. What you can do is also ask that they don't impose their sense on you to make you feel like you're choking. Although you can feel like that if that's your connection to smoking. But I often know who's around me energetically through smells. So for example, if I smell smoke and I'm in my home, nobody smokes in my home, I know that it's my grandfather. But then if I smell a certain type of food, I know it's another grandfather. So you can have these awarenesses, and sometimes these energies are coming to you because they have healings to support you in, or they're here to heal with you. And it is a really lovely feeling when you can experience that as well. Yeah, she also needed the clearing. I did feel a lot of mum energies stepping forward. And the presence of these energies doesn't mean that they have to have died in order to receive the healing. So for those of you who aren't very familiar with Theta healing, when we go into the energy of the creator of all that is, there is no time or space limitations. So anything and everything that exists is happening in the now, in the energy of the creator, which means that if your mum is living 10 doors down from you, her energy can still come forward in to receive this healing if she's ready to and if she wants to. Whilst at the same time, if your mother has passed on, she can also step forward to receive the healing, because it heals something within you when you're healing together. And it's such a beautiful way to heal. But also to know that if the energy of the person that you're healing with doesn't show up, doesn't mean it's anything about you. So please also know that too. That's where they are in their process, physical or non-physical. But if you can begin to place yourself in the number one spot in your life so that you can be nourished, so that you can consistently choose nourishment as your go-to, you unconsciously permit others to nourish themselves, which also begins to dissolve very needy connections. Because people go, well, if she can do it, or if he can do it, then so can I. And that's everything that I'm about. I love to share my stories, my experiences, because I want you to know how powerful you are. I'm here as a vessel that you permit to guide you. You don't need me because you have the ability to access all of this, but you can utilize me until you fully are embracing the ability that you have to connect to this information. Okay, so I wanted to share that to make sure that you all understand the power that you all hold within you. These last few days, I've just completed one of my mastery classes in Theta healing, which has enabled me to understand this to a whole new level. It was something that I was always aware of, that we all have these gifts and abilities, and it's simply about practicing that form, right? That practice of connection. And it's like any other muscle you build, it needs time. You have to practice it. So you may not feel today that you're able to do something like what you see me doing, but actually you are all very able and capable. If it's something that you want to develop, of course, but even for your meditative practices, you all have the ability to connect to that universal God love energy and receive guidance from it. So begin to practice that, because that's one of the quickest ways that you're ever going to feel anything, is by connecting into that energy. But with that being said, that's it for us tonight. Please utilize this month of November to nourish yourselves in any way possible. We have a very nourishing event coming up on the 20th and 21st of November, and that's in Muswell Hill, North London, where we will be hosting our second Holistic Living Festival with lots of healing modalities, from theta healing, pranic healing. There's crystal singing bowl sessions, there's yoga, there's a range of incredible products, supplements and services available at that event. And if you want to find out more, you can either message me directly or head over to reallysimplyyou.com, and there's the page for Holistic Living Festival. That whole weekend is based on creating possibilities for people to nourish, to heal, and to become aware of what's truly possible for them through the holistic world. And we also have calls similar to this every Tuesday, which is in our subscription group of the Vibe Tribe. If you feel that you want to have more support, more guidance, more clearings, you can always head over to the website and find out more about that too. And then tomorrow evening, we have our new moon energy clearing, which again is set for the Vibe Tribers. And if you wish to join, that one has an investment of £22. And you also get access to the Vibe Tribe for a week, which includes guidance, card picks, and replays of any of our previous recordings. So with that being said, everybody, thank you for choosing to be here this evening. For those of you in the Vibe Tribe, I will see you tomorrow for a gorgeous manifestation evening, as we clear some of the limitations that a lot of this year has shown up, and we really immerse into that manifesting and abundance energy now. So with that being said, thank you all so much for joining me here this morning. Have a wonderful new moon, and I look forward to seeing more of you soon. Take care and good night.